Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tarnika Manning, and I'm the Community Outreach Manager with the Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force. To learn more about our organization, you can reach us on the web at chicagobreastcancer.org, or you can give us a call at 312-942-3368. We're also on social media, where you can reach us at facebook.com, MCBCTF, and on Twitter with our Twitter handle being MCBCTF. You are watching a live call-in television program brought to you on cable channel CAN-TV 21, and we're online at cantv.org/hotline. During our show, we discuss various breast cancer issues that affect women of color here in Chicago. I invite you to call in and ask questions at 312-738-1060. Our phone lines are open. Today, our guest is Aishwarya Arjunan.
Yep.
Aishwarya is a genetic counselor at the Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago. Today, she's going to tell us all about the excellent work she does with a great organization called the Center for Jewish Genetics. If anytime you have any questions, give us a call. We're at 312-738-1060. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being our guest today.
Of course.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I actually did my Master's of Science in Genetic Counseling at the University of Pittsburgh. And then I also received my Master's of Public Health in Genetics at the University of Pittsburgh. And then now I serve as a pediatric genetic counselor at Lurie Children's Hospital. And I also serve as the genetic counselor for the Center for Jewish Genetics.
Great. So tell us about the Center for Jewish Genetics.
So the center is a not-for-profit organization. It was founded back in 1999 to help educate the Jewish community in the Chicagoland area about Jewish genetics and just general genetics overall. We educate the community members about various Jewish genetic disorders. We talk about hereditary cancers. We educate the rabbinical community and also other healthcare professionals. And we work with support organizations throughout the state, but also throughout the country to help provide education and information to the public about genetics so that we can help people understand what can be a very confusing and difficult topic.
Very true. So tell us about your role at the Center for Jewish Genetics.
Sure. So I'm the only genetic counselor at the center. So what I do a lot of the time is go out into the community and help educate the community members about genetics. We do various presentations. We talk to high school students. We go to people's homes and educate women about hereditary cancers. We go to healthcare providers and educate them about why individuals of Jewish ancestry might be at an increased risk for certain genetic conditions. And then we also run a carrier screening program at the center for individuals and couples that are getting ready to have kids. So for those individuals, we do actually provide genetic testing, and I provide all of the pre- and post-test genetic counseling for those individuals.
Great. You kind of already talked about it, but can you just give us a little overview of who exactly receives services and the services that are provided at the
Sure. So the center, while we're housed here in Chicago, I would say we serve pretty much anyone that needs information or has questions for us. Mm-hmm. We receive inquiries from all over the country, all over the world, and we do our best to help answer those questions or provide those individuals with the resources that they need so that they can get their questions answered or their concerns addressed. So just because our name says Center for Jewish Genetics, we actually will serve anyone. Anyone that has a question or a concern, they are more than welcome to reach out to us, and we'll do our best to find the most appropriate resource for them and do our best to answer their questions and their concerns.
Great. Just a reminder, we are live. If you have a question, give us a call. We're at 312-738-1060. All right, so I know you all partner with a lot of people here in Chicago. Can you tell us about some of your partnerships?
Sure. The center is mainly a cooperative effort between the Jewish United Fund and Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago. So those are the two major organizations that are involved, but we also work with a lot of different community partners. Some of them you may have heard of, FORCE, which is Facing Our Risk of Cancer Empowered, Bright Pink, and Sharsheret are three organizations that we work with. And then also on a local level, we work with organizations such as yourself, and then Gilda's Club Chicago, Emmerman Angels, Twist Out Cancer, just to name a few. We actually have a full list of various resources online on our website. But we basically will work with any organization whose mission is to help educate and empower individuals to kind of to take their health into their own hands. So we work with a variety of different rare disorder groups, along with the various cancer organizations as well.
Great, great. So earlier you mentioned something about you guys do a little bit of screening and testing for certain populations. Can you talk about those screening and testing options that you recommended?
Sure. When we're talking about Jewish genetic disorders or genetic disorders in general, they kind of fall into two different categories. When we're talking about our genetic material, we all have 2 copies of all of our genetic material. One comes from our mom and one set comes from our dad. Sometimes when there's a change or a mutation in our genetic material, it can lead to certain genetic conditions. When we're talking about hereditary cancers, the majority of the time it's due to a mutation in just one copy of your 2 genes. But those are dominant disorders. When we're talking about conditions that require both copies of that gene to have a change or mutation, those are considered recessive disorders. And at the center, we provide carrier screening for a panel of recessive disorders. And some examples of recessive disorders include cystic fibrosis, Tay-Sachs disease, sickle cell anemia, and Gaucher disease. So we know when a couple is a carrier for the same condition, or they just have one mutation. So they're healthy individuals. They don't really have any signs or symptoms of the condition, but they carry one mutation. They can then be at an increased risk to have a child that may be affected with a particular genetic disorder. So in these instances, there is genetic testing available that we can offer to individuals and couples so they can kind of learn about their health risks and see if there is a risk for their family planning. So the center we have a new on-demand program, so everything is online. You can access it from the comfort of your own home, and all of our testing for the carrier screening program is done through saliva. So you don't have to go into a hospital or a lab to get your test done. You can go through the entire program online at home. Then you'll follow up with our community outreach coordinator at the center, and then you'll receive instructions on how to receive your saliva kit via the mail. And you'll just provide your sample in, send it back to the lab, and once the results come back in, I follow up with every individual that's screened through our program to go over what the implications for their future family planning are. So that's another facet of the services that we offer at the center, apart from our hereditary cancer education.
Great, great. And you talked a little bit about this, but you said that the screening can be done, or the process can be started online?
Yes. So just in May, we launched this new on-demand program. So you can go online, and our website is www.jewishgenetics.org/register. And you can go through our program. There's a consent form that'll take you then to the next step. And it's a series of educational videos. And once you watch these 6 videos, you will then be directed, you'll complete the program. So it will go over all of the information about Genetics 101, what Jewish genetics disorders are, what the implications of testing may be, and what the follow-up will be like. And once you complete the program, we will receive a notification, and center staff members will follow up with every individual to make sure that they don't have any questions or concerns. And then once all of that is complete, every patient will receive information on how to request a kit from the lab so that they can provide their sample and send it back in for testing. And once the testing is complete, then I'll receive a copy of the results and follow up with every individual that went through our program.
That's great. That seems really simple.
Yeah, it takes maybe now 20 minutes. Before, all of our programs were in person, where we would have them at local synagogues throughout the city, and you'd have to come in and maybe spend a few hours there. So this has kind of streamlined the process. You don't have to come out in the cold winter months of Chicago. You can stay at home, and it's easily accessible from anywhere in the state. So even if you're not in the Chicagoland area, you still have access to this. And we have individuals that come in from out of town town and even out of the country because they don't have these services available where they are. So we help provide those services for them. And if individuals don't have insurance or if the cost of the testing is a barrier, we will help subsidize the cost of the testing. So we do our best because we do understand this is important.
Sounds really good. Yeah. So how long does it take to do the online portion?
So the online portion maybe takes about 20 minutes. And then once you go through the program, someone follows up within 24 to 48 hours. And once you send your sample back to the lab, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the results to come in.
That seems really simple and easy to do.
Yeah.
So any questions, please give us a call. We're here at 312-738-1060. We are live. Give us a call. All right. So can you tell us in layman's terms about the gene that often is associated with an increased risk for breast cancer?
Sure. So there's two main genes that are associated with an increased risk for breast cancer. And many of you may have heard the names. They're BRCA1 and BRCA2. BRCA basically just stands for breast cancer. And BRCA, it's the breast cancer genes. And these two genes are what we call tumor suppressor genes. So in our body, they're responsible for making tumor suppressor proteins. And these proteins help repair any sort of mistakes or damages that are done to our cells, and they keep our cells strong and healthy. But when there is a change or mutation in these genes, then there could be an issue with the protein that's being produced. And because of that damaged protein, our cells can't stay strong and our cells kind of build up a lot of mistakes. So when we have a lot of mutations or a lot of mistakes in our genetic material, those cells can then become cancerous and build up, leading to an increased risk for an individual to develop certain types of cancer. So that's kind of how the basic mechanism about how the BRCA genes that are most commonly associated with hereditary breast cancer function.
Great. So can you tell us why Jewish women are at higher risk for breast cancer?
Sure. So a common question that we get asked all the time is why individuals that have Jewish descent are at an increased risk for certain genetic disorders, not even breast cancer, but just certain disorders in overall. And this is due to something that we call the founder effect. So it's believed that most of today's Ashkenazi Jews descended from a groups of perhaps only a few thousand individuals or founders, that lived hundreds of years ago in Eastern Europe. And today, millions of individuals can trace their ancestry directly back to this small group of founders. So even if only a few of these individuals or founding members had carried a mutation for any of these diseases, over generations and over the years, that mutation would become more and more common in the population. So anyone that we know that has Ashkenazi Jewish descent has a certain risk to be carriers for certain Jewish genetic disorders. But what is important to know is that you don't have to be Jewish to be a carrier of a genetic disorder. Anyone can be a carrier. It's just that we know groups with certain ethnic backgrounds have a higher risk. So, for example, we know that anyone that has a general Caucasian background or Eastern European background can be carriers for a condition called cystic fibrosis. Similarly, anyone that has African American ancestry or Southeast Asian ancestry can be carriers for conditions like sickle cell disease or other blood disorders. So everyone is at risk to be carriers, which is why we say family history is important. And if you're ever thinking about any sort of testing, speaking with a healthcare provider or a genetic counselor will be really helpful in determining what testing is appropriate for you.
Yes, that's very true. Sickle cell runs in my family. We have a gene apparently in our family, so I have a couple cousins that have sickle cell.
Yeah, and knowing that information can help you plan for a healthy future.
Exactly. Something to discuss with the family when planning for additional family members.
Yes, very true.
If you have any questions, give us a call. We are live, 312-738-1060. All right, so I know you all do a lot of research. Well, not necessarily research, but you guys follow a lot of research that goes on around.
We do.
Around genetics. So can you tell us some about the newest research findings?
Sure. Something that kind of it came out more so towards the end of 2014, where there were many studies that were published from a population in Israel suggesting that maybe now we should consider screening all women for the BRCA gene because they were finding that the carrier frequencies were high. But there's still a lot of research that's left to be done. So the center, along with a lot of other organizations, did release statements regarding who should consider genetic testing. And we still recommend that before considering any type of genetic testing, individuals and their families should meet with a genetic counselor or a healthcare provider that has experience with cancer genetics to talk through all the benefits and limitations of genetic testing. Genetic testing is not an easy thing to do. It's not as simple as signing a piece of paper or just providing your sample. A positive test result can have a lot of implications, not only for your own personal health, but also for the health of your other family members. So it's important to know before getting any sort of genetic testing what the possibilities are and whether or not you're comfortable and ready for the results that could come up. So a lot of research is still being done. Another exciting development was the FDA approved targeted therapy for ovarian cancer in individuals that actually are carriers for a BRCA mutation. So more and more is being done, and research is continually evolving.
Yeah.
So we'll only have to see what's in store in the future.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we'll keep following.
Yes.
So what typical inquiries do you get at the center?
So as I said before, we get inquiries from all over the country and all over the world. The majority of our inquiries do deal with cancer, because cancer is not uncommon. We know that 1 in 2 men will develop cancer in their lifetime, and 1 in 3 women will develop cancer in their lifetime. So a lot of the inquiries we get is from individuals that will have questions about their personal family history. They'll say, I have a personal history of cancer, or so-and-so in my family had a history of cancer. Should I be tested for BRCA, or should I get genetic testing? So the majority of our inquiries are around the hereditary cancer or cancer subject area. So each case is different. Each question is different. So we basically take all the information and ask the individual what support that they need. Do they need help finding a genetic counselor or a geneticist? Do they need help understanding what the process would be like? Do they need information about what the implications would suggest? So we basically walk them step by step through the process, and if they need help finding a healthcare specialist or a genetic counselor, we'll then connect them with the appropriate resources and identify counselors or specialists in their area.
Sounds good. So
Yeah.
how can someone contact you if they have a couple questions?
So anyone is welcome to call us. Our center hotline is 312-357-4718. And you can always visit our website, which is www.jewishgenetics.org. And if you look on the top right-hand corner, there will be a little, it'll say contact us, and you can just click on that and send us an inquiry, and one of our staff members will get back to you probably within 24 to 48 hours. And all of our contact information is listed on our website. So on our website, if you click the About Us tab, you'll see little short descriptions of all of our staff members. And next to each of our descriptions, there's a little link that says contact Aishwarya, contact Jason, our director, or you can contact Leah, our community outreach coordinator, or Karen, who is our national education liaison. So you can contact any of our staff members at any point in time. So feel free to reach out with any questions. And if we can't answer your questions, then we'll do our best to connect you with who may be the most appropriate person to answer your questions.
Oh, sounds good. So
Yeah.
definitely reach out and contact them. But if you have any questions right now, we are live. So give us a call, 312-738-1060. You guys have an exciting event coming up in October.
Yes.
Can you tell us about it?
Sure. So in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and in conjunction with the Vassar Center for BRCA at University of Pennsylvania, we are planning a community outreach event at the Chicago Botanic Gardens on Wednesday, October 14th at 6 p.m. So this event is open to the entire community, and it's titled What's Jewish About BRCA? Our featured keynote speaker is Dr. Susan Domchek, who is the executive director and medical oncologist at the Vassar Center for BRCA. And she is a world-renowned researcher for BRCA. And then the rest of our panelists are all for the most part, local. So we'll have a genetic counselor from Northwestern University, a breast surgeon from North Shore University Health System, and a gynecological oncologist from University of Chicago. And we'll also have an advocate representative from Sharsheret, who is one of our community partners. So this panel will be discussing hereditary risks and basically what you can do about your risk of developing a hereditary cancer. We'll have many different community organizations that will be represented throughout the night. So if you need to talk to someone or if you need more information, you will be able to get that information at the event. More information about the event can be found on our website, and registration will be opening up soon. So please check back in at our website, or you can check out our Facebook page, Center for Jewish Genetics. And we would love to have anyone that is interested in learning more about hereditary cancers. So yeah, please feel free to join us on October 14th.
Great. We will be there. So come on out and join us at the Chicago Botanical Gardens. Are there any other projects you are working on?
So a lot of our projects deal with reaching different community members and education. So as I mentioned before, we do our carrier screening program. In the month of February is Rare Disease Month. So we do a lot to educate the community about rare diseases, because many of the conditions that we screen for, or that are called Jewish genetic disorders, are all rare disorders. So we do a lot of education around that time of month. October, while it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, is also Gaucher Disease Awareness Month. And Gaucher disease is a condition that we see very commonly or very frequently in the Jewish community. So we also work with the National Gaucher Foundation in doing more outreach about Gaucher disease. So it is, sure, no, Gaucher disease is another genetic condition. It's inherited in the same fashion as we say sickle cell disease is inherited, or Tay-Sachs disease. And it's a condition in which the body can't break down certain byproducts. So it builds up in different organs in our body. And we call it a lysosomal storage disease. So it can build up in our spleen, and it can cause our spleen to become enlarged. So there is treatment available for this condition. But there's a very high carrier frequency. So 1 in 12 Ashkenazi Jews are a carrier for Gaucher disease. So October is also National Gaucher Disease Awareness Month. So we do, in addition to raising awareness about breast cancer, we're kind of pulling double duty and also raising awareness about Gaucher disease. But we basically, our motto is knowledge is power, and we want to give everyone the power to plan for a healthy future. We say genetic testing is not for everyone. It's not something that you have to do, but we want everyone to have the information so they feel comfortable saying yes or no. So everyone should be able to decide for themselves whether or not they want to go through with genetic testing. So our goal is to provide the community with all of the tools and the knowledge so that they can take the matter into their own hands and decide for themselves what they want to do and what their next steps are going to be.
Sounds good. Is there any additional information you would like to share with the audience?
We briefly touched on it, but I always say family history is important. Knowing your family medical history allows you to take steps to reduce your risk. So, for example, if an individual is at an increased risk of certain cancers, your healthcare professionals can recommend additional screening or management or even lifestyle modifications. So I think it's important that everyone talk to their families and keep a record of what their family medical history is, whether it be cancers, diabetes, heart issues. Everything is important, and knowing your family history can be valuable information, and everyone should do as much as they can to keep a good record of their family medical history.
Sounds good. We definitely promote that at the task force. We promote our women to definitely talk about what's going on in their family, what happened in their family in the past. So we definitely support that and support what you all do at the Center for Jewish Genetics.
And I think one thing to add that I forgot is that breast cancer is predominantly, we see it in women, but it's also a male issue. Both men and women can be carriers of a BRCA2 mutation or BRCA1 mutation. So it's important that you realize that breast cancer is not just a female issue. Men can be carriers as well, and men can also pass the mutation on to their children. So be proactive, get the information that you need, and then make decisions for a healthy future.
Sounds great. Sounds great. I want to thank you for being our guest
you.
today. You were awesome. You provided me with new information, stuff that I didn't know. So it's
thank
always
you.
great we do the show and I learn stuff. So again, thank you. And thank you all for watching today. If you would like more information about what we talked about today on the show, you can contact us at 312-942-3368 or hit us up on the web at chicagobreastcancer.org or on Facebook, facebook.com/MCBCTF, and at Twitter with our handle being MCBCTF. I want to thank you for watching. Again, my name is Tarnika Manning with the Metropolitan Chicago Breast Cancer Task Force. We'll be back next month, third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Thank you.